Hello and welcome to this tutorial, and in this tutorial we are going to learn how to basically connect our Android application to the database. So in this tutorial we'll be creating a brand new Android application and we are going to try to connect that application with this database, which is the online database which we have hosted on a free server. So in the previous tutorial we have created the database, we have created the table inside a database which is called as users, and this users actually has four fields. So the first field was name, the second one was email, then we had contact, and then we basically had password. And what we have done is that in order to test if this thing performs correctly, we have also created a new, what you could say, HTML form so as to insert the data. And whenever we try to insert the data in here, it actually got reflected into the database. Now what this means is that our PHP scripts are working perfectly. Now what we could do is that we could use those same PHP scripts, but this time instead of using this form right here, we are going to use Android, and we are basically going to create a simple application so as to basically have these four fields and a button, and whenever we hit this button our data should be submitted to the database. So now let's go ahead and start creating our Android application. So I'm going to just close these things, and now let's open up Android Studio and start a new Android Studio project, and let's name this thing as online app. Then hit next, select the API level as 15, hit next, select a blank activity, and let the name of your main activity be main activity, and finally click finish. So as you could see, this is our main activity right here. Now let's go ahead and make some changes to the main activity. So the very first thing which we do is that we basically remove the elements which we don't need. So I'm going to remove these things, and once these things are removed, we again switch back to the main activity, and here we are going to add a new button which basically is going to redirect us to a new activity. And also let's just remove this hello world, and let's name this thing as insert data, and we are going to basically add in an on-click method to this. So let's say this says ins data, which stands for insert data. Now let's go ahead and create a method in main activity which says ins data, but even before that let's go ahead and create a brand new method to basically insert the data. So let's go to Java, let's go to this folder right here, and let's create a new activity, and let's select the blank activity and let's name it as insert, then hit finish. And now what we are basically going to do is that we are going to switch to this new activity which is nothing but insert.java from the main activity. Now in order to do so, first we go ahead and check the on-click method of this, which is nothing but ins data. So simply copy this method name, return back to main activity, and just type in public void the method name, and inside the parameters just pass in view, and after this we simply create an intent here. So we type in intent equals new intent, and to this we basically pass in this, and then we pass in the second parameter as the name of the second activity, which is insert. So we type insert dot class. Now to start this activity we type in start, this should be start activity, and simply pass in the intent which we have created. So we type in intent over here. Okay, now once we are done with this, we are pretty much good to go. So we simply save the code, and then we switch back to the insert.java, which is nothing but, what you could say, the activity which we'll be dealing with. Now the thing is that we have already created an Android application to basically connect with the localhost database. So instead of just typing in the code, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to simply pause the video over there, and I'm going to basically paste the source code for this, and all the things which we will be adding to this are already explained in the previous tutorial of connecting the database with a local host. Now the only difference is that in this application we are going to make a few changes so as to basically configure this application to connect with the online database. So I'm going to pause this video, I'm going to make a few changes here, and I'm also going to explain what I have changed, what things we are going to change in order to basically connect to an online database. So this is basically what we get while we paste the contents of the previous database application into the new one. So these are the contents of the register.java, which in this case is going to be insert.java. So when I copy and paste this, we will have a few errors, and the reason for that is basically the name of the edit text and all those kinds of things are different. So what I have done is that in the content insert.xml I have added 4 edit text, and I have named the ID as name, email, contact and password respectively. Now the only thing which we need to do is that we actually need to reference those over here. So I have basically created edit text e_name, e_email, e_contact and e_password, and I have also declared the strings so as to basically save the info related to this. Now we also need to make a few changes here. So the second field right here is going to be basically email. So in order to avoid confusion, let's replace this by email and use the same order everywhere so that we don't miss out on anything. So this is going to be contact, and the final one is going to be password. So we type e_password and change this thing to password, and also we make changes over here. So this is name, the second one we want is going to be email, so make sure that you replace this with email. So this is going to be e_email. The third one is contact, and the final one is actually going to be password. So we type in password over here and e_password over here, and also we make relevant changes over here. So this is going to be name, email, contact and password. And also, as you could see, this thing right here is showing us an error, and that is because we have not yet created the background task. So let's go ahead and create a new Java class which is called as background task. So simply go over here and create a new Java class, and let's name it as background task. And if you have any difficulty in basically typing in the source code for this application, then you don't need to worry. I am going to basically post the source code of this application so that you could simply use this into your application. Now we already have the background task completed in this application. So what we are going to do here is that we are going to simply switch to the previous background task, and we are going to basically copy the things over here and make modifications to this. And the reason for that is that there is no point in typing these things again. So we simply copy these things, return back over here and replace this one with the background task of the previous application, and it is going to ask us to import a few things and simply click OK. Okay, now once we have the background task, we also need to make a few changes to the background task of our application. So the very first thing which we do is that we check line by line if we are correct. Now this thing right here is a constructor, and this is basically the same as the previous one, but in the do in background method we actually need to change the URL of this thing. So the registration URL or the URL for basically inserting data was this thing right here. Now in our case the URL is a little bit different. So basically in order to check the URL, we basically go to 000 web host, and basically we are going to log in over here. So go to members area and go to cpanel, go to the file manager so as to check the URL. So simply open up file manager, hit continue, and inside the public underscore HTML folder, so this is the script. So simply view the script in order to confirm, and yeah, name, email, contact and password. So this is the script which we are looking for. So it is basically named as add.php. so if we simply type in the domain name, and after this if we give a slash and type in add.php and hit enter, so this is basically the script which we have. So we simply copy this, return back to Android Studio, and we are basically going to paste this thing over here. Okay, now once we have added this thing, the next thing which we do is that we change the other parameters. So the string here is going to be email, this is going to be contact, and this thing is going to be password. So make sure that you do the relevant changes, and after this thing is okay, this code is also fine. And now also we need to make changes over here. So the second field is going to be for the email, so type in email here and email here as well, and for the final one replace this by password and replace this thing by password as well. Rest of the things are going to be same. So now as you could see, our code is completely error free. So in the next tutorial we are basically going to try to run this application on the emulator, or we could also run this application on an actual device. So basically we will test this application on an actual device to see if it works. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Thank you.